When you think of the scariest creatures in nature, what comes to mind? Is it the shark with its rows of serrated teeth? The lion with its thunderous roar? Or perhaps a venomous snake coiled and ready to strike? For most of us, fear is tied to size and power, to things that are visibly threatening. But the truth is, the most terrifying organisms on this planet aren't the big ones, they're the tiny ones. As we journey down the biological rabbit hole, zooming past what our eyes can see, the world doesn't just get smaller, it gets stranger, more complex, and profoundly more disturbing. The comforting, familiar rules of life begin to bend and then break entirely. It's a descent into a realm where life itself feels alien, a place where the fundamental nature of what it means to be a living thing is challenged. You quickly come to a chilling realization. The deeper you zoom in, the more nature stops looking natural. Even at a scale we can just about perceive, the world of parasites offers a glimpse into this unsettling reality. These are organisms that have evolved not just to live on or in another creature, but to masterfully subvert its very existence. They are nature's puppeteers, and their strategies are as ingenious as they are grotesque. Take the horsehair worm, for example. This impossibly long, thin parasite develops inside the body of a cricket or grasshopper. When the worm reaches maturity, it needs to get to water to reproduce. But how does a worm inside an insect get to a pond? It doesn't crawl out. Instead, it releases a cocktail of neurochemicals that hijacks the insect's brain, instilling an irresistible, suicidal urge to seek out water. The host, now a mindless drone, marches to the nearest stream or puddle and throws itself in, drowning so the worm can emerge and complete its life cycle. This isn't an isolated case of biological horror. The liver fluke, a flatworm parasite, embarks on a similarly complex journey that involves manipulating multiple hosts. To get from a snail to its final destination, inside a grazing animal like a cow or sheep, the fluke must first infect an ant. Once inside the ant, a few fluke larvae migrate to its brain, where they form a brainworm cyst. This single cyst takes control, compelling the ant to abandon its colony every evening, climb to the top of a blade of grass, and clamp its mandibles shut, waiting motionlessly to be eaten by a passing herbivore. The ant becomes a submissive sacrifice, its life forfeit for the parasite's agenda. Then there are the parasitic wasps, which turn spiders and caterpillars into zombified slaves. The wasp lays an egg on the host, and the larva, upon hatching, injects venom that overrides the host's will. The spider will stop its normal web building, and instead construct a highly specific, reinforced cocoon-like web to protect the wasp larva as it pupates. Once the protective structure is complete, the larva consumes the spider and uses the web as its personal fortress. What's most unnerving about these organisms is that they manipulate minds with terrifying precision, all without a brain or any recognizable intelligence of their own. But the world of mind control gets even more precise as we shrink down to the kingdom of fungi. While we might think of mushrooms as harmless decomposers, certain species have evolved into some of the most sophisticated puppeteers on Earth. The most infamous of these is Ophiocordyceps, often known simply as cordyceps, or the zombie ant fungus. When a spore lands on an unsuspecting ant, it's a death sentence. The fungus infiltrates the ant's body, not by attacking the brain directly, but by weaving a web of fungal tissue, called mycelium, throughout its muscles. It's a full-body takeover. The fungus seizes control of the ant's limbs, steering it like a marionette. Driven by its fungal master, the ant is forced to leave the safety of its colony and embark on a final, agonizing journey. It climbs a plant stem to a very specific height and orientation, a location with the perfect temperature and humidity for the fungus to thrive. In its last moments, the possessed ant performs a final, macabre act, the death grip. It bites down on the underside of a leaf with such force that its jaw muscles lock, securing its body in place even after death. With the ant locked in its death pose, the fungus is free to grow. A fruiting body erupts, often straight through the back of the ant's head, and releases a fresh shower of spores onto the unsuspecting ants below. This is where we get the first chilling hint of a fundamental rule of this hidden world. Small things control big things, often with horrifying precision. As we descend further, past the realm of fungi, we arrive at the microscopic theatre of single-celled life. Here, in a single drop of pond water, a war of endless horror is being waged. Meet the amoeba, the quintessential blob of biology class. It seems simple, almost rudimentary, but watch it hunt. It extends its gelatinous body, forming pseudopods that flow around a smaller organism like a paramecium. It doesn't bite or sting, it simply engulfs its prey, trapping it in a cellular prison called a vacuole. Then it floods this prison with digestive enzymes, dissolving the victim alive from the inside out. It's a slow chemical execution performed by a single, mindless cell. Some of these unicellular predators are far more sinister. Consider Naegleria fowleri, the so-called brain-eating amoeba. It typically lives peacefully in warm freshwater, but if it enters a human nose, it embarks on a devastating path of destruction. Following the olfactory nerve, it travels directly to the brain. There it does what amoebas do. It consumes. It feeds on brain tissue, triggering a rapid and almost universally fatal infection. A single cell with no brain or nervous system of its own can systematically dismantle the most complex object in the known universe. Elsewhere in this microscopic world, creatures like the paramecium display shocking sophistication. They are covered in thousands of cilia, tiny hairs that beat in coordinated waves, allowing them to navigate their environment with the agility of a fighter jet. They can sense obstacles, find food, and flee from danger, all within the confines of one cell. At this small scale, evolution is at its most ruthless, producing single-celled killing machines and survivalists of breathtaking complexity. If single-celled predators challenge our ideas of simplicity, a group of organisms known as extremophiles shatters our understanding of the limits of life itself. Chief among them is the tardigrade or water bear. At a distance, these microscopic invertebrates look almost cute, like pudgy, 8-legged gummy bears. But put one under a powerful microscope and its features become monstrous. A gaping maw surrounded by terrifying stylets used to pierce and suck the fluids from plant cells. Yet their appearance is the least remarkable thing about them. Tardigrades are the undisputed champions of survival, the unkillables of the biological world. They can withstand conditions that would annihilate nearly any other life form. Boil them in water, they survive. Freeze them to near absolute zero, they reanimate. Crush them under immense pressure. Bombard them with lethal doses of radiation, or even expose them to the cold, airless vacuum of outer space, they endure. Their resilience comes from a suite of microscopic adaptations we are only just beginning to comprehend. They can enter a state of suspended animation called cryptobiosis, replacing the water in their cells with protective sugars and proteins that turn their bodies into a glass-like solid. They possess unique proteins that shield their DNA from radiation damage. Tardigrades demonstrate that the smaller an organism is, the more its biology seems to defy the established rules of life and death. By now, we've journeyed deep into a world invisible to the naked eye. But the final stop on this leg of our tour isn't in a distant pond or an exotic fungus. It's right here, inside you. Your body is not just your own. It is a bustling, sprawling ecosystem, a planet teeming with life. This is the world of the microbiome. Trillions of bacteria, fungi and archaea live on your skin and deep within your gut. In fact, you are profoundly outnumbered. Microbial cells in your body outnumber your own human cells by some estimates. For a long time, we viewed these microbes as passive hitchhikers, or worse, as invaders to be eradicated. We now know that they are essential partners in our survival. They are the hidden workforce that digests our food, synthesizes vital vitamins, and trains our immune system to distinguish friend from foe. But their influence goes even deeper, into the very core of who we are. These tiny organisms produce neurochemicals that travel to your brain, influencing your mood, your stress levels, and even your thoughts. The gut-brain axis is a direct line of communication between your microbiome and your mind. This forces a strange, unsettling question. When you feel an emotion, is it truly you feeling it? Or is it a chemical signal sent by the trillions of creatures living inside you? You are not an individual. You are a walking, talking colony. We have now reached the edge of the visible, a world of organisms so small they exist only as blurry shapes under the most powerful light microscopes. We have seen how biology gets stranger, more manipulative, and more resilient the smaller we go. But the creepiness doesn't stop here. This is only the halfway point of our descent. Beneath the microbiome, beyond the world of cells, lies an even stranger and more fundamental realm of existence. This is the world of viruses, of bacteriophages, of rogue genetic parasites, and ancient cellular execution systems. Your body is not entirely your own. If you were to count every single entity residing within you, you would find that viruses outnumber your own human cells, perhaps by a factor of 10 to 1. You are host to a sprawling, dynamic ecosystem of trillions upon trillions of viruses, a collective known as the human virome. For most people, the word virus conjures images of sickness and disease, of plagues that have swept through human history. And while that is one part of the story, it is a woefully incomplete one. The vast majority of the viruses that call you home are either completely harmless or paradoxically beneficial. They are the silent peacekeepers of your internal world. Many of these viruses are specialists, evolved to prey on one thing, and one thing only: bacteria. They are your personal, microscopic security force, constantly patrolling your gut, your skin, and your lungs, hunting down and eliminating potentially dangerous bacterial invaders before they can gain a foothold. These viral allies play a profound role in shaping your very being, influencing your immune system's development, fine-tuning your digestion, and even regulating inflammation throughout your body. Yet, for all their importance, their behavior remains shrouded in mystery. Some can lie dormant within your cells for decades, silent passengers waiting for a signal we don't understand, only to activate in an instant, their purpose and triggers still largely unknown to science. We are a walking, talking planet for an empire of viruses, and we are only just beginning to map its borders. Among the most bizarre and numerous inhabitants of your virome are the bacteriophages, or phages for short. To look at one under an electron microscope is to see something that seems ripped from the pages of science fiction. They are not alive in the way a cell is. They are more like intricate, self-replicating machines. A typical phage has a complex structure that defies simple biological classification. A geometric, almost crystalline head made of protein, a rigid, syringe-like body, and a set of spindly, jointed legs that look unnervingly like a lunar lander's landing gear. These are not organisms that gracefully swim or crawl. They are living injectors built for a single, brutally efficient purpose. A phage operates with mechanical precision. It uses its leg-like tail fibers to identify and latch onto the surface of a specific bacterium. Once it has a firm grip, its body contracts, and like a hypodermic needle, it punctures the bacterial cell wall and injects its own genetic material directly inside. The phage DNA or RNA then hijacks the bacterium's cellular machinery, forcing it to stop its own functions and start producing hundreds or even thousands of new phage copies. This continues until the host bacterium is filled to bursting, at which point the new phages release an enzyme that dissolves the cell wall from within, causing the bacterium to explode violently. Trillions of bacteria meet this grisly end inside your body every single day, a microscopic apocalypse that happens second by second in the hidden world inside you. The smallest predators are also the most ruthlessly efficient killers. The theme of self-destruction isn't limited to invaders, it's a fundamental feature built into your own cells. Every one of the trillions of cells that make up your body contains a self-destruct sequence, a system known as apoptosis, or programmed cell death. This isn't a flaw, it's a critical safety feature, a biological kill switch that serves to protect the whole organism. When a cell becomes old, damaged, or shows signs of turning cancerous, it can receive an internal or external signal to initiate apoptosis. It then systematically dismantles itself from the inside out, neatly packaging its components for cleanup by immune cells, ensuring it dies cleanly without causing inflammation or collateral damage. It's the ultimate act of sacrifice for the greater good. This process is essential for life. It's how your body prunes away unneeded cells during development, and how it eliminates cells that have been infected by a virus, preventing the infection from spreading. But this powerful system is a double-edged sword. When the self-destruct mechanism malfunctions, the consequences can be catastrophic. If it fails to activate, damaged or mutated cells can survive and multiply uncontrollably, leading to tumors and cancer. Conversely, if the system becomes overactive, it can begin to target and destroy perfectly healthy tissue, a key factor in many autoimmune diseases and neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Your biology is laced with these internal kill switches, a constant, delicate balance between life and self-inflicted death. As we delve deeper into the very code of life itself, things become even stranger. When you look at your own DNA, you might imagine a pristine, carefully authored blueprint for building a human. The reality is far messier. A significant portion of your genome, and by some estimates nearly half, is not human in origin at all. It is a graveyard of ancient viral infections, genetic material left behind by retroviruses that infected our distant ancestors millions of years ago and embedded themselves into our germline. Your DNA is a battlefield littered with the remnants of past wars. Much of this non-human DNA consists of what are known as selfish genes or transposable elements. These are genetic intruders whose only purpose is to replicate themselves. They have no concern for your well-being. Their entire existence is dedicated to making more copies and inserting them elsewhere in your genome. Some of these genes can jump from one location to another, a process that can have completely unpredictable consequences. A jumping gene might land in the middle of a vital protein coding gene, disrupting its function, or it might alter how other genes are regulated, changing your biology in subtle or dramatic ways. Your DNA is not a static blueprint. It is a dynamic, chaotic environment where ancient parasites and selfish elements are in a constant struggle for survival and replication. A conflict that plays out within every cell of your body. The closer we look, the less biology resembles the soft, organic forms we're used to. At the molecular scale, life begins to look engineered, almost artificial. Inside each of your cells is a bustling city, complete with highways and transportation systems. Protein motors like kinesin and dynein act like tiny robots, walking on 2 feet along cytoskeletal filaments. They carry vital cargo, vesicles, organelles, and other molecules from one part of the cell to another with relentless mechanical determination. Without these molecular machines, your cells would grind to a halt. Elsewhere, you find the ribosomes, the protein factories of the cell. They function with the precision of a sophisticated assembly line, reading instructions from messenger RNA and translating that code, amino acid by amino acid, into a perfectly folded protein. It is a process of breathtaking complexity and accuracy, repeated trillions of times a second throughout your body. And then there are the enzymes, the specialized tools of the cell. Each one has a unique 3-dimensional shape, an active site, perfectly formed to bind to a specific molecule and catalyze a particular chemical reaction, behaving like a microscopic lock and key. At these smallest scales, the fluid, messy nature of life gives way to something that looks like nanotechnology, a world of gears, motors, and assembly lines that seems designed. As we make our final descent, pushing past the scale of molecules and into the realm of pure information and chemical logic, biology stops looking like biology altogether. The familiar concepts of organisms, tissues, and even cells dissolve away. Life at this level is no longer about living things. It's about patterns of information, complex networks of interactions, autonomous machines, and raw chemical logic. It's a world governed not by instincts or behaviors, but by the fundamental laws of physics and chemistry, orchestrated in a way that gives rise to the phenomenon we call life. It's here, at the absolute bottom, that we find the true source of control. The smallest things in nature, the arrangement of atoms in a protein, the sequence of nucleotides in a gene, the charge on a molecule, have the greatest and most profound influence over the entire living world. Biology gets creepier the smaller you go, and the smallest life may be shaping us in ways we still don't understand. We began this journey with the familiar fears of the animal kingdom: the lion, the shark, the venomous snake. But in truth, these creatures are models of simplicity compared to the universe we've just explored. Their motivations are straightforward: to eat, to reproduce, to survive. The invisible world, however, operates on a different level of complexity and horror. It is a realm of parasites that rewrite behavior, microbes that form superorganisms, viruses that function like alien machinery, and molecular systems that blur the line between life and machine. This is the infrastructure that runs everything around us and within us. Life, in its most fundamental form, is not gentle or kind. It is built from invisible horrors, and we, in turn, are made of them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to support us by subscribing, leaving a like and drop a comment. Thank you for watching.